Hello, everybody. My name is Samuel Alderete. I'm one of you future church planners here in Calvary Chapel, Rosarito, and I want to welcome you to today's good news. So we're continuing our series in the book of Proverbs, what we like to call here at Calvary Chapel, Rosarito, Proverbs' greatest hits. And in today's chapter, we're going to be seeing Proverbs chapter 9, where we're going to be reminded by King Solomon, the author of the book of Proverbs and the wisest man of them all. Great men grow in wisdom and learning. Once again, great men grow in wisdom and learning, which reminds me of a personal story of mine. When I was, as an adult, going and starting to college, I thought I knew it all. I thought I was already so wise that I didn't need no more wisdom from anybody. I thought I knew it all, that I didn't need to receive anything from anyone anymore. But oh boy, was I completely wrong. I remember realizing how hard adulthood was when I started going to college. But I remember my dad, my father, one of the wisest people I know, reminded me this simple piece of godly wisdom he gave me that to this day carries deep in my heart. Sam, you're never going to stop learning. Every day you're going to learn something new. And even when you think you have it all, you're going to be continuing to be learning every single day of your life until you go on to heaven to be with Jesus. That was one of the greatest pieces of wisdom I've ever received from my father, from anyone in general. Thank you, Dad, so much. Thank you for that. Church, we're in Proverbs 9 once again. We're in Proverbs chapter 9, and we're going to be reading specifically verse 9. Proverbs 9, verse 9 says, "Give instruction to a wise man, and he will be still wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase in learning." So we start where it all begins again, church. Wisdom. You see, in the portion of Scripture from verse 7 through verse 9, unfortunately for the second time, we didn't read verse 7 or 8. But we see here from verse 7 through 9, the people that we should focus on are on giving wisdom to, we should focus our efforts on and our time on, and who we should not. And in the first two verses of verse 7 and 8, we learn about the type of people that King Solomon tells us, don't waste your time on. Don't focus your efforts on them. Because these people, known as foolish people, known as scorners, are not going to listen to you. All people can be classified in three ways: scorners, fools, or wise men. But let me ask you something. Which one are you? A fool is basically a lazy, a selfish person. A scorner is a rebel that hates the truth, hates advice, and anybody that's given it to them. And lastly, a wise man is a zealous student of truth and wisdom who not only loves learning, but also loves teaching others as well. And we see here in verse 9, in the main text that we're focusing on, King Solomon commends those people teaching wise men. For they will love the truth and wisdom you give them. Can you tell the difference here? Your duty here is to teach those who really want to know, who want to grow in wisdom, who want to move forward in their life and not go backwards. But also, he tells us here, be teachable. Just like you give wisdom to others, be able to have an open heart to receive it as well. Because we never know when we're going to need a little wisdom ourselves in our lives. Church, in this day and age, we must be able to teach wisdom to others. How do we do that? Be based in the manual of wisdom that we have known as the Bible. Anything that you share with somebody, any piece of wisdom that you share with them, let it be based biblically. Also, be open to the people that God sends your way who you never know might just need a little godly wisdom in their lives when they're facing a tough choice, a tough decision that they have to make, a tough situation they have to go through. And lastly, continue praying for those people who will need wisdom for something they might be facing towards right now. Because a little bit of prayer might do good in a person's life. And lastly, also, like you give wisdom, be able to receive that as well. Be teachable. When you need wisdom, remain in the Word. Meditate on the Word in your daily devotionals. In the church, when you come to church, when you hear your pastor sharing a sermon, write down the notes that he's sharing with you in his sermon. You never know what you're going to need in your life in that moment. And also, surround yourself with the people that you know that are going to encourage you, that are going to edify you, that aren't going to put you down, but that are going to actually lift you up. And lastly, follow the examples that we have in the Bible of people that were wise, that had wisdom, from Moses, from Solomon, all the way to Apostle Paul. And lastly, follow the example of the greatest person, the one who was wisest of them all, even beyond Solomon himself, Jesus Christ. Follow the example of Jesus. And that is the greatest truth that I can give you today. Follow the example of Jesus. And church, that is today's good news.